Hi everyone, welcome to Everything Dog Training podcast with me, John McGuigan, Glasgow dog trainer and behaviour consultant. So thanks again for taking time out of your schedule to listen to me. Welcome if it's your first time listening to us. This is going to be a little bit different from our usual episodes. So bear with me on this if it's your first time, and please go back and look at the other stuff that's a tiny bit out there. I don't think it's so much out there what we're talking about today, but it is just a little bit fringy, if that's a word. And welcome back if you're joining us again. It's just some news first. So I think I said recently I'm going to Australia for a 3 seminar tour in November. So first weekend will be in the Melbourne area, second weekend will be in the Sydney area, and the third weekend we're going to be in the Queensland area. Brisbane area in Queensland. So if you're looking for, that's for the first, second and third weekend of November. If you're in Oz and you are interested in coming to see me for the Saturday and Sunday, there's still some places I think available for the one-to-ones on the Monday. But if you're interested at all, then please give us a shout and I'll set you up with the details of the hosts where you can register. So I'm really looking forward to going back out to Australia. This will be my fourth time doing some podcasts, doing some presentations, podcasts on the brain, doing some presentations in Australia. I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be first time in Sydney and in Brisbane. So we've been to Perth a couple of times, and we've been to Melbourne twice. I've been to Melbourne. Once before the pandemic and once last March. So that's there. If you can give us a review on iTunes on the podcast. You can also leave comments on Spotify. If you're, so constructive comments, please. Okay, rather than this is a lot of rubbish. Okay, I think that's very helpful at all. If that's your opinion, just I can't stop you. That's what the topic's about today. I can't stop you from doing it. I just need to accept that that's your view on it. But some constructive criticism would be nice. And you can reach me through my socials. That's at Glasgow Dog Trainer on Facebook, Instagram and on YouTube. And you can email me info@glasgowdogtrainer.co.uk. So let's go on to what we're talking about today. Two basic formats for the podcast. I get a guest on because they've got lots of information for us to share. Hopefully ask some fairly insightful questions and get them to share their knowledge with us. And the other format is like this, where I'm just talking, just me talking away, and that's what this is today. In order for us to get topics for the ones where it's just me, I'll have an idea, so you can look back through some of them. So we've got loose lead walking and recall, and some thoughts on reinforcement, and so on and so forth. And then we've got Q&As, so people, I usually post on Facebook or Instagram asking people to ask me questions, and it can be general questions on topics that they want to cover, or it can be I'm having this problem with my dog and can you give us any advice on it. And this came up today, the topic for today came up in one of those. So my colleague Mary, who's in New Mexico, asked me how Stoicism has affected or influenced my life with my dogs and the dogs I work with. So for those of you who don't know, Stoicism's a philosophical school. Okay, so school of philosophy. I'm going to give you a really brief definition of it. So Stoicism teaches development of self-control as a means to overcoming destructive emotions. The philosophy holds that becoming a clear and unbiased thinker allows one to understand the universal reason. Okay, it's a philosophy designed to make us more resilient, happier, more virtuous, and wise. And it's not virtuous as in the guy, he's so virtuous, okay, or kind of holier than thou. It's not that type of virtue. We've got 4 virtues of Stoicism are wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation. Okay, now started doing my study of Stoicism around about 4-5 years ago, thereabouts, and then I started getting into it as a daily practice. The word practice is interesting. Don't worry about this. We're going to get into the dog training stuff in a minute. Okay. So the word practice is interesting about this. So if you look at yogis, people that do yoga, they talk about a yogic practice. When I was doing my studying about how to lift weights better and get better at weight training, one of the Russian mindset for weight training is it's a practice, it's not a workout. So we're practicing lifting heavy things in order to get stronger. You get meditative practice. We practice meditation to get better at meditation because of the benefits of it. So that's how I view Stoicism, and I practice or do some study most days, and it is most days. The ways that I practice or study, so the Daily Stoic podcast is excellent, and I listen to that pretty much every day. And I've read Ryan Holiday's books. That's how I get into Stoicism. And so I'll read his books. There's the book The Daily Stoic, which is an entry a day. And then I read some of the other texts, so Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, Seneca, Epictetus, and a few others that I've read. And lots of these things are, they're kind of universal truths, if you like, for... I've even got an issue with saying universal truths. It's either the truth or it's not. And I think it is a nonsense of your truth and their truth. Okay, it's either true or it's not. Okay, we don't have versions of the truth. Maybe what you believe, but just because you believe it doesn't mean that it's true or a fact. Anyway, we've got these underlying fundamental core values, if you like, in lots of things. So in Stoicism, Buddhism, and a lot of the big religions, and it's kind of like be a good person and try and live a good life, and be kind and good to other people. So it's just the various applications and understandings of it. All right. So I'm going to get slightly off topic here for Stoicism. And I'm going to read you a few things. Okay, so we've got the 4 agreements, which is based on Toltec wisdom. So that's South or Central American wisdom, and it's ancient. The Toltecs are even older than the Aztecs as a culture or society. And the 4 agreements in Toltec wisdom are: be impeccable with your word. Okay, and that's not just saying things that are true, it's your self-talk as well. Don't take anything personally, which is an awesome one. Don't make assumptions and always do your best. Those 4 agreements there are ripple through Stoicism. So the more that you study this stuff, you start seeing this kind of universality. Universality? Is that the right word? Okay. Universalness. I know that's not the right word. Okay. Then we've got the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And for those that are in recovery or in the fellowship, okay, for addiction, then that God is just a greater power. So it doesn't have to be God itself, himself or herself. It's just a higher power of the universe, Mother Nature, time, okay, whatever you want to call it. But if you look at that there, there's lots of stuff in Stoicism that are in the serenity prayer. And then lastly, Viktor Frankl, who, if you aren't familiar with Viktor Frankl's works, then I would suggest that you at least familiarise yourself, because it will improve your life. And Viktor Frankl says, between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space it is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and freedom. Okay, so that's kind of not reacting to things, controlling your emotion, taking time, slowing down. Okay, now all of that. So how long have I been talking? I've been talking now for 9 minutes. Okay, and that's the background for Stoicism on how I practice it in my daily life. And I'm just going to go through a few things. We've got. So I found an article, and it's these 30. They're not all there, but these 30 Stoic principles are that we can apply to our life with our dogs. So I'll pick a few of them, and it just gives you an idea. Stoicism has changed my life. I make no bones about this. I was full of rage, and I mean rage, rage for a big part of my life, most of my adult life actually, and it was probably going to kill me in one way or the other. Okay, if it wasn't a heart condition, it would have been something else. And I had to learn how to let that go, and finding Stoicism helped that. But it also meant that I was less angry with the world, more understanding with the world, then more understanding with the dogs that I work with, more understanding with the people that are trying to do their best in their life, most of them. I don't think everybody's trying to do their best. I'm not quite there yet. I don't think everybody's trying to do their best, and I don't think everybody is doing their best. From the way I see things going, okay, I'm not quite there yet, and that's probably a little bit of work I've still got to do on that. And yeah, so it gave me more empathy for people. Now, when the study of this, if you're looking to, there's lots of accessible books. Ryan Holiday's works are super accessible, and I would start with the first three. Stillness is the key, ego is the enemy, and the obstacle is the way. So those three things, learning to remain still, which I covered in a previous episode. That's one of the episodes from, a few years ago when I first started the podcast during the pandemic, and I talk about stillness in there. I'd actually probably go back and I might re-listen to or listen to that and see what nonsense I was talking about it. And your ego, okay, and I just saw today, I put a post up on Facebook about this whole thing about what we should be allowed to do and what our entitlement is, and that's based on ego. I should be allowed to go everywhere and free from harassment from other dogs. Yeah, that is true as a statement, okay. However, not accurate a lot of the time. If I take your dog, if we go to a park, if you've got a dog that is reactive or aggressive, taking your dog to a park which is not the ideal environment for that dog, just because you think that you should be able to, is an ego-based decision, okay? Because your ego of saying what you should or shouldn't be able to do, or what we should or shouldn't be able to do, is then putting your dog in a position that they can't handle. And then we've got wisdom there, so it's when is it okay and when is it not, okay? But that goes back to those four underlying principles of Stoicism, okay? So you see how it just affects lots of how we interact with the world, and therefore our dogs and the people in the world in relation to our dogs. Okay, so go through a few of them. Focus on what you can control, alright? So you can't control everything. I say to my clients, and I even said this a long time ago before I started studying Stoicism, we can't control everything, but we must control the things that we can. Okay, so if you're walking through the park, I'll use the dog reactivity a lot. If you're walking through an area and you see another dog coming, if you could cross over the side of the street or move onto an open grassy area, you have the power to do that. So let's do that. Now, in doing so, you're then making it less likely that the dog and the other person come into your space, because you've created distance between you and the other dog. We can control that, okay? And then that means that it's easier for our dog to do the things that we want. So that's focus on what you can control in order to set your environment up for success. Alright? So that's the first one, okay? You can control how you respond to things, and this goes back to that Viktor Frankl quote, which I'll read again. So between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and freedom. Okay, so if we're reacting to things all the time because we're just reacting, so a reaction, if we think about it in the terms of a reaction, is a quick response. Something happens and I respond emotionally and immediately. Now, there's a space there, and the less reactionary you are, the more you can emotionally regulate, the longer that distance is. Okay, and that then gives you time to make a decision about how you want to respond. So an example of that in my life, out with, that's a Scots word which I only realised recently, out with, okay, away from, opposite of within. out with my life with my dog. If I hear something on the radio that I don't like, I can identify it and turn it over. Okay, and that's based on cognitive behavioural therapy as well, recognising the triggers that you've got, and then changing how you react to them rather than just reacting to them, or changing how you respond to them. Okay, so you can control how you respond to things. Now that then goes with my life with my dog. If a dog jumps up on you, okay, if my dog jumps up on me or lunges and barks when I am having a bad day, if I pause just for a few seconds, I can then get my emotions under control rather than, getting cross with them, or, annoyed and, pulling them in harshly. And these are all things that I don't do with them. I can't say that I've never done them, okay, because I'm human, but it's pausing there and just going, what's going on with my dog, what's going on with the client's dog. Okay, so you can't control the world, but you can certainly control how you respond to it. Alright, ask yourself, is this essential? Is it absolutely necessary that my dog sits in this moment? Okay, the answer might be yes, okay, but it's very likely no. People will say to me that they'll ask, my dog will recall, but as they recall, they stop and sniff, and I want an immediate recall. Okay, is that essential? Now, sometimes it might be, and that's why we train it, but we also have to have the wisdom to know when it's essential and when it's not. Okay, so is that essential? Okay, so next one. Meditate on your mortality every day. Without getting morbid about this, we've got a finite time in the world. We've got a finite time with our dogs, and our dogs have got a more finite time on this planet than we do, because they live shorter lives. Okay, so my morning routine, not that anybody's interested in my morning routine, but other than for this, I will wake up usually about an hour and a half or an hour and 40 minutes before I leave for work. I like a nice, easy, restful morning before I start the day. And I'll maybe listen to some music, listen to a podcast, and have my breakfast. And I generally have my breakfast, a cup of tea and porridge or oatmeal in bed. Now, when Logan was younger, he would get up and I would put him back to bed because he sleeps on his bed is in my bedroom, and I would put him back to bed. In the last few years, since he's getting older, I started reflecting on, I've only got so many of these mornings with him. And again, this is not to make you sad, alright? It's just the acceptance of life. So when he gets up in the morning, because he wants to get up onto the bed, and I put his blanket over him, alright? There's only so many times left for us to do that, okay? And the one that happened this morning is past. I'll never get that back. So you've got one less every day. And I don't want to be sitting in 10 or 15 years' time thinking, I should just have let a dog up in a bed to cuddle with me, And he leaves me be. He goes back to sleep and I just put the blanket over him. But he kind of, zones in against my feet, and he leans against me and I lean against him. And it's nice, So why not do it? Okay, so meditate on your mortality every day. You're the product of your habits. That's the next one. Okay, so that's with you, your life and your dog. You're the product of what you do habitually. So if you rush out the door habitually and let your dog rush out the door habitually, that's what your dog will do. If you take a little bit of time to slow down, pick up the harness, breathe, just relax and slow down a little bit more and build that as a habit, then your going out of the door is going to be more peaceful. Okay, if you want your dog to come back to you regularly, practice that. Okay, lots of people want, lots of clients I see, and I was guilty of all of these things as well before I started training. We want things to happen without putting the work in. We want it to happen now, and then we tend to put more volume and effort. Excuse me, that one came on. Still got the COVID lung. So lots of people try to have the dog do the stuff and they haven't put the necessary work in. And they then say the dog knows how to do this. And the question I ask there is, well, it's not even a question. The answer to that I say is, if he knew how to do it, he would do it surely. Okay, so he's not doing it because he's stubborn or belligerent or anything else. He's doing it because we haven't practiced enough under those conditions. Okay, so yeah, you're the product of your habits. Okay. Next one. Remember, you have the power to have no opinion. Okay, not so much with dog training. Okay, but certainly our stuff online. So remember that we have everything that we do influences all of those around us. So it's that kind of ripple effect. So think of if you're having a bad day. Okay, you having a bad day, you get annoyed with the barista who makes your coffee. You've then dropped a little bit of poison into their day. Okay, a little bit of just bad dayness into their day. Okay, they then either have to recover from that and pass it on. Okay, if I shout at the guy in the park with their dog because their dog is bothering me, that person might then roughly handle or kick or hit his dog. Okay, so just by not having an opinion on those things, it makes it easier for us to live a happier life for those around us. Okay, including our dogs. Okay, next one, put yourself up for review. Okay, so look at your actions. If things have gone wrong, and this is what I did, okay, if I do a training session and it doesn't go well, I will reflect on that and say, why didn't it go well? Okay, and not, why didn't that go well? Okay, why did that not go well? Not poor me. Why didn't it go well, and what do I do next time to make sure that it does go well? So we're having that review. Okay. Next one. Okay, this is a really good one. Don't suffer imagined troubles. Okay, so that's us projecting into the future a lot of times. So what happens, especially if we're working with dogs that are reactive, boisterous, do kind of antisocial behaviours, lunging and barking, jumping up on people or getting into fights with other dogs, that we are projecting into the future something that has not yet happened. Most often that's based on an event or some events which have happened in the past. They're gone, there's nothing we can do about them. The future event hasn't happened yet, and a lot of the time by projecting into the future, worrying that it's going to happen, it ends up happening in itself. Okay, and if we change what we're doing, then it will change that outcome. Okay, so don't suffer imagined troubles. Next one. Try to see the good in people. Okay, there again, lots of these are challenging, and as well as it's a practice. It's a daily practice. Okay, hourly practice sometimes. Okay, try and see the good in people. Now, give you a couple of examples of that. You're driving down the street and you're lost, and you forget to put your indicator, your turn signal on, and you pull across the other lane of traffic. Okay, you made a mistake because you're lost. Okay, because you're lost, you may be a little bit confused, and you pull across traffic without looking. All right. Now, most of us that drive have done something like that, some version of that, which is just a lapse in concentration. Okay. Somebody toots or sounds their horn behind us or gets annoyed with us. Okay, and then we feel aggrieved because we know that we are, just lost, just confused for a moment. Okay. Now let's switch those roles. We're driving down the street and we see somebody driving across the lane, okay, or turning in front of us without putting their indicator on, and we get annoyed with them. Okay, so lots of the time we will then shout at them and say, you're stupid idiot, or something like that. We weren't a stupid idiot when it happened, when we did it, so they're not a stupid idiot when they do it. It's just because it affects us in different ways. Again, we are the centre of our lives. You're the only person who's the centre of your life. Okay, your children are, your spouse is not the centre of your life, because there's sometimes where they're not there. Okay, we're the only person that's in our life 100% of the time. It'd be nice to get a break from your head sometimes, wouldn't it? Okay, so we know our actions. So let's make that, try and see those actions in others when people make mistakes as well. Okay. All right. 2 ears and one mouth for a reason. That's from Zeno. Okay, 2 ears and one mouth for a reason. All right. 2 eyes, 2 ears, one mouth. Observe, listen twice as much as you speak, at least. Get that this is rich coming from me, who's now been talking for the best part of half an hour without a break. Okay. Now, if I think about this, just going back to that example I made, kind of cheeky remark there about myself. The amount of time I spend talking about Stoicism is 1% of the amount of time I spend learning about it. Okay. The amount of time I spend learning about dog training is then with my dog. I am watching him and listening to him. I'm watching my client and their dog, and I'm observing their dog and their interactions. And the more I observe, the more what's the word I'm looking for? Astute or sharp. And I don't mean sharp as in being sharp with people. I mean, precise. My instruction or direction can be in order to help them out. Okay. So if you're watching what they're doing now, the more practice that you get at this, it means that you can then start seeing stuff really, really, really quickly because you've had so much experience. There's a balance there. Okay. So 2 eyes and 1 ear, two ears and one mouth for a reason. We can add in there 2 eyes because we're observing our dogs. You watch your dog and try and understand what they are saying in that moment, and you'll start understanding them better. Okay. Right, there's always something that you can do. That's the next one. Okay. There's always something you can do. We can always do a little bit of training. We can always slow down, more or less. Okay. We can always learn how to throw a ball better, to deliver a treat better, to play tug better. Okay. We can always learn to move around our dog in a more considered way. There's always something we can do. All right. This is a gem, this next one. Okay, don't compare yourself to others. An absolute prize. All right. I don't think comparison is the thief of joy. I don't know if I'm maybe getting my quotes mixed up. Okay. I think that's the quote. In fact, I'm going to pause that and I'm going to look that up to see if that's true. Yeah, well done, Johnny. That's true. That is accurate. Okay. So it was in this old rust bucket of a head somewhere. So comparison is the thief of joy. It's from Theodore Roosevelt, and he has Roosevelt, I'm sure, read the Stoics as well. Okay, so don't compare yourself to others. So what happens with that is we've got you let other people turn around and say, "Have you not trained that dog yet? Is that dog still on a long line?" That's a comparison to something, and then we compare ourselves to what that person has said. We start putting pressure on our dog, and not to a good end. Okay, you see somebody with their dog, you're at puppy class, you're in a group class, and they've got the easiest to train dog in the world. Okay, super easy to train dog, super biddable, super relaxed, and you don't have a dog that has those qualities. And they're racing through the exercises and you're still sitting back at the fundamentals to try and get your dog to sit still for 2 seconds, or stand still, or be interested, or stop barking. Okay, really natural for us to compare ourselves to others. It's our ego talking there. Okay, that's, I should be as good as that person. That should word, that infernal should word creeping in again. Okay, so don't compare yourself to others. And it's a lot of times this arbitrary standard. You're still working on that dog training stuff. Okay, you're not fixed that dog yet. Okay, all that rubbish. Okay. Okay, be strict with yourself and tolerant with others. Okay, this is a good one. Hold yourself to a high standard. And it's a high standard in how you're thinking, how you're moving, how you're interacting with your dog. Okay, give yourself a break if you don't meet that standard. That's somewhere else. It'll be something, somewhere, something else. Put my teeth back in. Okay, yeah. But if you make a mistake, we're only human. Okay, so don't dwell on it. But hold yourself to a high standard, and then if other people aren't meeting that standard that you hold for themselves, that's on them. It's not on you. You can worry about yourself. with all of these things, there's this really nice, it's a little video on, does around on Instagram, and it's a little girl, and she's about 4 years old. It's in the States, judging by her accent, and she's in the back of a car, and she's trying to put her car seat on the straps of the seat belt in her car, and it's one of the kind of race car seats that go over her shoulders and then round her waist and between her legs, so that kind of 5-point seat belt. And she's doing a sterling job of doing it herself. And her dad turns around and says, "Do you want a hand?" And she says, "In it, there's no insolence. She's not being cheeky or anything like that. She says, "You worry about yourself." And she's basically saying, "I'm doing fine, thanks very much. You worry about yourself, don't you worry about me." Okay, so be strict with yourself and tolerant with others. Put every impression. Now I'm going to pause there for just a second. Okay, it's practice. I'm not nailing these. Okay, I am not nailing these at all. Okay, some days I fly through them and I have brilliant. I've had life of a Stoic. I've done really well today. And you go, yep, on reflection, I've done really well. Other days, that was, can we just forget that day and move on? Okay, because I wasn't at my best performance. And then reflect on why you weren't at your best performance. Going back to the Toltec 4 agreements, one of them is always do your best. Your best will vary depending on other things that are going on in your life. So if you're having a great day, money in the bank, everything rosy at home, relationships are good, sunny day, nice and warm, your dog has a stonking day, absolutely fantastic, great performance outside, and you're like, "I've nailed life." Okay, so you've done well on a really good day. Okay, that's not the test. The test is how well you can do on a bad day, and it won't be anywhere near the same as that. Okay, but can you get through the bad days? Okay, and can you hold yourself to a higher standard on that bad day? The standard might be fall short of the mark that it happens on a good day, but you've been out there, doing your thing. Okay. All right. So so that's, I'm not nailing this. Okay, it's a practice. Okay. Next one. Put every impression, every emotion to the test before acting on it. I had developed habit, going back to that, when we talked earlier on, you're the product of your habits. When I was a police officer, instant decision making was a super crucial skill. Okay, we had our chief constable in Strathclyde Police, it was at the time before we moved to Police Scotland, Willie Ray, and he basically empowered the whole police force. 7,000 cops, 7,500 cops, and 4,000 staff. And one of the things he said was the executive management would fully support mistakes made in good faith. Okay, so if you were out there doing your job and you made the wrong decision and you acted in good faith, then you would be supported. Okay, so now, because I had that thin slicing and quick blink decision making, and I was so well practiced at it, I then sitting there thinking, I'm crushing life for this one. Okay, and then that takes us back to the Viktor Frankl quote. Okay, is between stimulus and response. Okay, so put every impression, every emotion to the test before acting it. Just think on things sometimes. Okay, it doesn't always have to be done straight away. As long as it's getting done, things need to get done. Okay, and it's not procrastinating, but can you pause for a minute to think about what you're wanting to do? Can you pause for 10 seconds? That might be all that it takes. Can you give your dog 10 seconds to relax and calm down if they get upset? Okay, so we're testing the impressions of what's going on and thinking, do I need to act on this right now? Can I wait? And in that passage of 5 or 10 seconds, I don't need to act on that anymore because those circumstances have changed. Okay, learn something from everyone. Okay, even if it's not how to respond, how to act. Okay, I had a wee bit of contentious day on Facebook today, and there's been a few people that have come on, and what I've learned from them is don't want to be like them. Okay, that's what I've learned from them. Okay, so yes, we can learn something from everyone. Now, this is a challenging one, or it's a little bit tricky as well. So when we talk about trainers that that don't use positive methods, who are more willing to use aversive training methods, and people say we've got something to learn from everybody, a lot of the time those people are saying they're skilled technicians and we can learn from them. Okay, I would disagree with that, because if their timing is that good, there is nothing that I can learn from them that I can't learn from somebody else whose timing is that good and uses positive methods. Okay, but we can learn. I don't ever want to treat a dog like that. I don't ever want to speak to somebody like that. Okay, I don't ever want to interact with the public around my dog like that. Okay, that's the negative side. And then I did a podcast today with somebody, and I said something, right, and this is the guest is well experienced, and they said, "Oh, that's that." I had no check me, pat myself in the back again, not at all. Okay, I had a different view of what they'd said, and they're like, "Oh, that's really nice." Okay, and they said, "I'm stealing that," and I said, "Yeah, feel free, please do." Okay, so I learned from this person, and this person learned from me in that process. Okay, focus on the process, not the outcomes. If we work through the process, if we're process driven, okay, we will get the outcomes that we need. If we're not getting the outcomes that we need, go back and look at the process, but enjoy the journey with your dog. Who cares if your dog isn't acing X, Y, and Z in some arbitrary time scale? Okay, but you going through your life focusing on the process, getting better at it, means that you will get better and your dog will get better just because. Okay, this is an awesome one. Okay, define what success means to you. Okay, I had a client today, worked with them, and they explained what was going on with their dog. They can walk reasonably close to other dogs on the path, and and when I say reasonably close, without the dog lunging and barking, was within a meter. A meter, 3 feet, something like that. And I said, what outcome are you looking for? What will success look like? And they explained it. So they were basically saying, I'd like to be able to relax more. And I said, cool, okay, let's work on that. Okay, so that just because you've got a different outcome of success doesn't mean that it's not valid, and it doesn't mean that other people's definition of success isn't valid either. Okay, unless we put it through critical analysis and go, nah, that's just nonsense it's just not cool for the dog. Okay. Find a way to love everything that happens. Yeah, that's super challenging, isn't it? Okay, now that's a love of fate. Okay, now that amor fati, I have that tattoo in my arm. Amor fati is Latin meaning love fate or love of fate, and it's from Nietzsche. Nietzsche wasn't a Stoic. He actually had a lot of disagreements with what some of the things that the Stoics were saying. Not personally, because they were all dead. Okay, given that they were in ancient Rome and Greece. But anyway, okay. So find a way to love everything that happens. Okay, that one was challenging for me. Logan has been a challenging dog to live with. Okay, he has been. In the house he's glorious, outside he finds the world super stressful, and then I get frustrated that I can't help him the way that I want to sometimes. And but he has been the making of me as a dog trainer, because he has been a very challenging dog, and because of that I love him and love my life with him. Okay, because he's taught me so much about myself and about dog training. Okay, we've got a few more. Okay. Seek out challenges. That's another one. Challenge yourself. Okay, and the challenge might be something like, I'm going to see if I can teach my dog to do a downstay for 10 seconds. Okay, once you've nailed that, can I do my downstay for 10 seconds while I bounce a ball? Okay, can I recall my dog away from other dogs? So these challenges shouldn't be, okay, according to me. Okay, think of seeking out challenges for you and your dog, which are not just for the sake of challenging, but that we're actually building skills during it. Okay, so can I call my dog away from other dogs? Can I teach my dog to be teach my dog or help my dog to be more social around other dogs? Can I build my dog's confidence in a greater way? So seek out challenges. Okay. Don't follow the mob. Okay. Don't follow mob rule. That's a good one as well. I'll just leave that one there. Okay. Grab the smooth handle. Okay. So this is the smooth handle. Basically, I think it's some farming implement. That's what we're talking about. And there's a smooth handle and a rough handle. Okay. Now the smooth handle is the smooth handle because it has been smoothed out through years of use, and it's easier to do that because it's building good habits. So you're not deliberately picking hardship for the sake of make life easier for yourself if you can. Okay. And what's interesting about this is that then makes it slightly contradictory to seek out new challenges. Okay. But let's not go and make things more challenging than they need to be. Okay. If not for you, for your dog. Okay. Your dog didn't sign up to a modern life. Okay. We bred our dogs to get there. Okay. I mean, if we go back further, we didn't sign up for a modern life either. Our parents decided to have us. Okay, but we're here now. So let's be responsible adult humans. Okay. Next one. Every person is an opportunity for kindness. That's from Seneca. Okay, every person is an opportunity for kindness. Again, challenging, really challenging. Okay. How I apply this to my life with my dogs, and I've talked about this before. If you've followed any of my other content, I am working with a dog. The dog is showing on-lead reactivity. Okay, so dog reactivity. Another dog comes into our space. Okay, and that dog has got no recall. The person tries to call their dog back. Okay, I have to be kind to the dog that we are working with, and that kindness means that I have to protect that dog. I also, if I'm kinder to the person by saying, yeah, don't worry about it, pal, it's cool, just come and get your dog. Okay, I'm showing that person kindness by not losing my temper, which is going back to focus on the things that you can control and the gap between stimulus and response. Okay. So if I say to the person, just come and get your dog, okay, now what the thing I'll say as well to them, and you've maybe heard me in some of my videos saying this, I will say to the person, don't give your dog a hard time for not coming back, it's totally cool. Now, we all know rationally that it's not cool, okay, we know that it's not cool, but by being kind to that person, I'm trying to assuage some of the embarrassment and shame that they're feeling because they didn't reach the standard of society. Their dog embarrassed them by running into our space. They upset another dog. They feel bad enough as it is. If I start piling on and shouting at them, okay, do you know who's getting the brunt of that? Just pause for a second. Who is getting the brunt of their rage if they can't control themselves? And it's going to be their dog or their kids or their partner, or the barista, or the guy in the car park who cuts them up, okay, because we couldn't control our temper, okay. So every person is an opportunity for kindness. Not easy. None of this stuff's easy. None of it's easy. It's been a work for me, and it's daily practice, okay. But every person is an opportunity for kindness. Say no a lot, okay. Now that's not saying no to your dog. Okay, that's saying no, you can't. Yeah, I'd rather you didn't come. I'd rather you didn't come in and pet my dog. If your dog doesn't want petted, it's you can't. Okay, so carve out the time that you want to do with your dog, and you can do that by saying no to other things. Okay, don't be afraid to ask for help. It's another glorious one. Okay, don't be afraid to ask for help. Leave that one as speaks for itself. Okay, and then lastly. Find one thing that makes you wiser every day. Okay, just one thing in your life with your dog. So you've listened to this because you're not getting this info. If the people that are not listening to this, this is just sitting in the ether somewhere, some internet data bank. But hopefully this has made you a little bit wiser today. And yeah, okay. What I'll do with these is I will post this on Facebook and Instagram at the time. Hopefully, if I remember, and if I don't, somebody message me, email me, and say that and tell me I've forgotten, and I'll link the list, those 30 things that we've talked about. I've skipped over some of them, but I'll put that list in the show notes. And if I forget, somebody kindly remind me. Okay, so. Awesome, hopefully awesome that I've finished this. An awesome question from Mary. Okay, really, really good, and just a really lovely question. And you see how if we're opening our mind to things, looking for ways to get wiser, when I am studying or practicing, doing my daily practice of Stoicism, I can then think, how do I pass that information on to others? How can I influence others to help their dogs? And how can what I've learned today affect my life with my dog and my view of the world and my dogs in it? Okay, and my dogs, I mean the dogs that I interact with plus Logan. Okay, yeah, so a little bit different. Okay, but I've certainly enjoyed it. But I enjoy it because it's what I like doing. It's one of my geeky things, and yeah. Much love to you, and I'll catch you next time.